I'm Cecilia.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Nolan.
And this is Apple.
Ooh.
First, I want to start out with the history, where it all started. We got two brainiacs, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. They started in this very own garage in Los Patos, California. The first product they worked on, they called the Apple I. They did not sell it with the keyboard, case, or monitor, just the guts of the computer. And they ended up selling around 200 of them, which got the attention of some investors. With this money, they started in, only a year later, they produced the Apple II, which not only did have these extra additions, the keyboards, the case, and the monitor, but it also came with their first color graphics. Later on, only a couple years after that, in the 1980s, Steve Wozniak leaves in '83 through a discussion with Steve Jobs, and he got tired of running the day-to-day operations of Apple. And then only 2 years after that, Steve Jobs left Apple and sold all of his shares except one. This netted him about $70 million. He then took that money and decided to start a new company, Next. This was a software company that was focusing on making operating systems for computers. For most of the early 1990s, Apple was struggling. They weren't doing so hot. They lost their two main founders. They lost Steve Jobs and they lost Wozniak. They're actually on the verge of bankruptcy. This is when, in 1997, Apple actually bought Steve Jobs' company Next, which helped them progress their computers and ended up using Next as the backbone to create Mac OS. In 1997, when Apple bought Next, Steve Jobs became interim CEO, and for 3 years, he was just interim. And then in 2000, he became CEO again. This was when they started releasing the first iBook, the iPods, and the iPhone. I don't think anyone has used a computer like that, but that was the backbone of what we see now in MacBooks. The iPod is an MP3 player device that could hold 1,000 songs. And this first came out in the early 2000s, and they ended up having 7 generations, all the way up until 2017. But I feel like most people nowadays just have their own iPhone. So iPods kind of became obsolete. The iPhone, revolutionary. One of the first touchscreen phones. There's over 33 different iPhones through 13 generations. That's a lot of phones. I personally have had, I believe, 5 different phones through iPhone. They're computers, like the iBook. This is the MacBook. They sold roughly over the past 10 years, every quarter, 5 million computers. 5 million different MacBooks every quarter. So that's around 20 million computers every year over the last 10 years. And that made them the first company with $1 million market cap. Not million, $1 trillion market cap. Within only 2 years later, they hit $2 trillion. And now, today, as of right now, they are sitting at $2.7 trillion. Now I'll hand it off to Grace.
So I'm taking over for the environmental analysis. So for the political side of the environmental analysis, there's currently the trade war between the US and China, which is causing chip shortages, which is semiconductor technology that goes inside the phone. And Apple is very, very susceptible to political unrest currently in China. And so this highlights a major weakness, because if they cannot get access to the semiconductor technology, then they can't make Apple products. So for the economic side, there has been a 20% increase in cloud services and Apple Music. There has been a 31% increase in iPad sales, which you can pretty much thank the pandemic for that. And they have also been making price adjustments to different exchange rates around the world. And you can actually look it all up on Apple's website. Currently there's no exchange, nothing weird is going on with prices in the US, but in some different countries they adjust prices based on exchange rate. So for legal, again, very, very susceptible to political unrest in China. And they've also been put under scrutiny for using cheap labor in China and outsourcing their jobs. And they also have been getting a little bit of heat from the US because of how much tax revenue they make, and people think we should be taxing Apple more to help with social issues in the United States. For social, they have a really broad target demographic. It depends on what different products that we're talking about. Like, for example, compact devices like an iPhone or an Apple Watch are going to be more popular, people ages 20 to 45. while digital products like Apple Pay, the iTunes Store, and other Apple services like that take a little more of a tech savvy mind, those are going to be more popular with ages 18 to 30. And the average person has 2.6 Apple products, and loyal Apple customers are more likely to own multiple lines of Apple products. Technology-wise, they have two major competitors, which are Samsung and Google. And they did have the first move advantage when it comes to Apple Pay, and Google Pay came out with their version of it about a year later. A weakness in Apple is they need to increase their digital security to protect their customers' information. And as more technology is being put into smartphones and iPads, it decreases the market for personal computers, even though a lot of people nowadays still do prefer a solid laptop over an iPad with a keyboard. We're seeing a shift in people going with an iPad versus iPad with a keyboard versus a personal computer. And for the last part of the environmental analysis, a lot of Apple devices hold lithium batteries, and when you throw away your Apple device, it just puts lithium into the ground, which is not very good for the environment. They've also been getting some heat from people in the US because China is currently trying to reduce their greenhouse gases, and Apple is trying to incorporate recycled materials into their current products, and they're also trying to reach zero net carbon emissions by 2030.
So I will be taking over with the current marketing plan. Specifically, I'd actually like to talk about the objectives of our marketing plan here at Apple Incorporated. Here, as you can see, the statement, secure loyalty within younger generations. I just want to explain to you that we're actually targeting younger people in this society, specifically 18 to 35-year-olds. But to secure that loyalty with them, we have to show you our products and services. Specifically, we provide different iPhones, tablets, watches, laptops, even as well as the services like Apple Music, Apple TV, Apple Pay, and applications to the App Store. With all those different products and services, we're actually able to create a convenience factor for our customers. And specifically with these younger generation people, you can find Apple stores in cities that have very sleek, very modern designs that will attract them into the stores. And being in a city, you're actually going to have more of a fast-paced lifestyle. You actually need the convenience factor to live without being too rushed around. Also as well, we're looking for wealthy to middle-class people so that they'll be able to afford these products and as well need them in their daily lives. Now, secondly, I'd like to talk about the target market for Apple Incorporated. Overall, we want to sell our product to everyone, but that just doesn't seem very quite possible. That being said, we actually went with a differentiated strategy, and I'll refer to this example here with the iPhone 13. As you can see, there's an iPhone 13 mini, 13, 13 Pro, and 13 Pro Max, and all these different models are actually different colors, thus creating different wants and needs for our consumers. The needs being different qualities of camera and storage, as well as the wants being colors and sizes. On the right side of the screen here, we have our demographics, psychographics, geographics, and behavior. Like I said before, we're looking for people in urban cities. That's why we have our stores, and that is our geographic. Demographically, we want the younger age people so that they'll be more attracted to our brand loyalty. Psychographically, we want the fast-paced lifestyle or even a sophisticated one. As well as behaviorally, we're looking for brand loyalty. We want people to come in and buy our products and be able to use them on all sorts of platforms. And finally, I'd like to talk about sustainability and ethics with our current marketing plan. As you can see, there is a problem here with our rare earth metal mining. Also, these rare earth metals are known as conflict minerals and can be found in different areas of Asia and Africa. Specifically, these miners or smelters or suppliers of us for our raw materials can be affiliated with different militia groups, thus giving them revenues for terrorism and whatever warfare they're going on about. Thankfully, protesters were actually able to provide us this information that we had overlooked, and we actually came up with a solution, the Apple Supplier Code of Conduct for 2014. And as you may know, it actually came out in 2014, January 1st. And thankfully, we were able to report 6 months later that we were actually able to provide suppliers for ourselves that weren't affiliated with these groups, militia groups, if you will. But I will throw it on to the 4 Ps now.
Right, thank you. I'm Ellie. I'll be talking about the 4 Ps. As we know, it's the products, the place, the price, and the promotions. For the place, you can buy Apple products in all their stores. They're all over the world. Their website also allows you to ship globally, which is pretty nice. They are based out of California, so that's where their headquarters are, and that's where they're from. But they also have very strict guidelines on who can sell their products. So like for preference, like Verizon, Office Depot, Best Buy, like are a few places that can sell them, but like not a lot can. Like you can't go to like Meijer and buy an Apple phone or something like that. And for their products, of course, there's iPhone, iPod, iMac, their watches, Apple Home and accessories, but like with their accessories that includes like the headphones, the AirPods, the Apple Home stuff, cases, all that. So there's a lot that goes into just the accessories, so they have a large list of everything that they do sell there. The price. All the prices have big ranges depending on what you get. So like the size, of course, the generations, all that stuff. And also depending on like, say the iPad, you could get one with data that comes with it, so you don't have to be constantly connected to Wi-Fi to use it. So that costs more. Same with the Mac products, along those same lines. In 2020, Apple's revenue was $274.5 billion. 50% of that came from iPhones, 10% came from Mac products, 8% from iPads, and 11% from iPods and watches. And as you can see, there are humongous ranges between all these top products. For promotion, they're self-promoting. So meaning like we see it everywhere. Like in this classroom, I see multiple Apple products right now. Like I have 3 in my bag also right now. And like even in elementary school, I remember having these like big carts that would have 30 Apple products in them, like laptops that we all learned how to use. So like even at young ages, we were learned to use Apple products. There's a big focus on how different they are from other companies. And along with knowing that they are the leaders in new products, they are coming out with new products, and other companies are following their lead. And then on the SWOT.
So for the SWOT analysis, I'm pretty much going to be covering a lot of things that we already discussed, but implementing them into how they can create these weaknesses and use them to become more opportunistic. For their strengths, obviously, like we discussed, everybody has Apple products. They're a multi-trillion-dollar company, and they increase every single year. They have extremely limited competition. There's not many people that would prefer other products over Apple, and if they are, it's a very specific thing. They're globally reliable and used in everyday activities. Office spaces use them, hospitals, personal use, home use. You can find them anywhere. There's always a way to use an Apple product in your life, no matter what you're doing. Their weaknesses, their prices are very high, not only for the iPhone or iPad, but all their accessories. Their headphones are a lot more expensive, tablets, Apple watches. Their incompatibility also allows it to be more expensive. You need a certain, charger, you need a certain brick. That just causes everything to become more expensive. You're not just buying an iPhone, you're buying into the whole Apple universe of needing chargers. And that just causes a lot of people to stray away from Apple because they know that they're not just buying one product, they're going to eventually buy a lot of products, and those prices add up. Some opportunities that Apple can take advantage of, we discussed a lot about their sustainability, not just in terms of their metals and what they use, just the fact that you usually buy a new iPhone or Apple product every few years. In your lifetime, we've probably all bought several different new Apple products. If everybody does that, how much waste is that creating? Creating a more sustainable product that can last a little bit longer will allow for more people to want to buy Apple products because sustainability is a huge topic right now, especially in politics. And with a company like Apple being so big, they can really target the market of what can we do to convey ourselves to a bigger audience. Releasing more products to aid external companies. This is just pretty much what can they do to help more office and hospitals situations. Can they come up with more products that really allow for a very niche company to use a specific product? So like Apple making hospital gear, things like that. That would be very helpful, especially in today's world. Threats, we also discussed they're relying heavily on China, especially like with COVID. Relying heavily on the import of another country it's not a very flexible plan, and although they do assemble their products in the United States, relying on another country with things like COVID happening, it's not very reliable. There's a lot of competition for the newest and latest products. Since the beginning, Apple has been the first to come out with everything. However, with a lot of new companies coming out with things like AI and gaming consoles and stuff like that, if they do not step up their game in terms of how they can be the first to new things, there might be other companies that might take the lead in things like that.
So looking at some of those companies they're competing with, Samsung is their main competitor. They have other competitors like Google Pixel, and then minor competitors like Spotify competing with Apple Music, and then Roku competing with Apple TV. We can click the next one. And then just looking deeper into Samsung, their business philosophy is to devote our talent and technology to create superior products and services that contribute to a better global society. Their products, they make anything from smartphones to fridges, but the important thing about their products is they don't have their own software, so they have to team up with other companies to use their software and implement it into Samsung's hardware. And then they got two products that kind of please different demographics. Obviously, it changes based on how late the phone is or how new the phone is. Samsung Guru is the cheaper option, and then the more well-known Samsung Galaxy tends to be expensive. That's comparable to Apple's iPhone prices. And then their place, they mainly sell online. They do sell in technology stores like Best Buy, but they avoid retail stores like Target and Walmart. And then promotion, mass media is their main form of promotion. They do offer rewards for loyal customers like discounts and special events. And then that was a lot, so we'll just compare Samsung and Apple. Apple has iOS, or that's their software. They only have one software. And then they're also first mover advantage, brand loyalty. They rely heavily on brand loyalty. And they appeal more towards a younger audience, not really like a businessman phone. While Samsung, they have to use other companies' software, so they're software compatible, almost making it more unique. And they have late mover advantage, and it appeals to almost an older audience like the businessman. Next. And then finally, the problem and solution for Apple. I think the problem is they rely too heavily on brand loyalty and the people they already have brand loyalty with. And they have very little co-branding. The solution would be co-brand with companies outside of Apple's industry. A good example of Apple doing this was MasterCard and Apple working together to make Apple Pay. By doing this, you can branch out into other industries and reach a wider audience. And that's it.
All right, and that wraps it up. Do we have